How much exercise do you really need? Well, the American Heart Association recommends you do at least 150 minutes of moderate to light exercise per week or 75 minutes of vigorous exercise per week. And that pretty much comes out to around 5 days a week where you're doing 30 minutes of brisk walking or 5 days a week where you're doing 15 minutes of vigorous exercise, okay? And how did we get to that number? Well, let me read this off just a little bit. This guideline is based on decades of research showing a clear dose-response relationship between physical activity and reduced risk of heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and premature death. Large-scale population studies like the Harvard Alumni Health Study and the Nurses Health Study found that people who exercised at least this much had significantly lower cardiovascular risk compared to sedentary individuals. Researchers used epidemiological data and clinical trials to determine minimum effective dose of exercise for improving cardiovascular health, blood pressure, and metabolic function. The key insight: both moderate and vigorous exercise improve heart health. Vigorous exercise just does it in less time. So that's very important to hear. Is the minimum effective dose is 15 minutes of vigorous exercise 5 times a week, or 30 minutes of brisk walking, or 30 minutes of light to moderate exercise 5 times a week. And that's just good to hear, because I think we're all trying to understand, like, what's the least amount that I can do from an exercise standpoint to stay in a healthy state. And knowing that those are the recommendations, you can start planning for that. And 15 minutes doesn't sound like that much time. And it also doesn't sound like it's going to do that much to help your health. But over time, it really is helpful to do 15-minute HIIT workout or 15-minute running or sprints or something like that. And so it's really fun to understand that just that amount of work can actually be super helpful for you from a longevity standpoint. I'll tell you why it's recommended. It improves heart and lung efficiency, lowers blood pressure and cholesterol, improves insulin sensitivity and weight management, reduces inflammation and stress, enhances mood and cognitive function. So just doing a 15-minute HIIT workout or going for a 30-minute walk can do all of those. And we don't have to go to the gym for an hour to feel like, hey, I did something for my health. And I think that's usually the thought, is that I have to spend a long amount of time in one day to really be beneficial from an exercise standpoint. But it's actually the consistency over time that is going to give you the most bang for your buck. And I know that sometimes it feels like it's impossible to get even 15 minutes during the day to find a time to exercise. But a lot of times the best time to do it is usually in the morning, okay? And that's for anybody who is not great or doesn't really enjoy exercising or doesn't feel like it's going to help them that much. Knocking it out first thing in the morning so you don't have to think about it for the rest of the day is one of the best things you can do, because then it's not weighing on you for the rest of the day. And usually anything that we don't like to do, it's better to get done with as soon as possible so we don't convince ourselves that we don't need to do it later in the day. So that's it. And then anything on top of that is like, cherry on top or icing on the cake, right? So that's the fun part about it, is like if you get a 15-minute HIIT workout in the morning or a 30-minute, light to moderate exercise in the morning, the rest of the day you're like, I'm just adding to the stuff that I already did this morning. So it's pretty cool, and it gives you a kind of a positive outlook on the day instead of like dreading the workout in the afternoon or the nighttime. So that's it, guys. 15 minutes of vigorous exercise, 30 minutes of light to moderate exercise. Figure out what time's the best time for you to do it. I highly recommend the morning, and get after it. Thanks for watching.